From billionaire playboy to humble beginnings, how a maid's secret shattered his life forever. In the gleaming skyline of Manhattan, where dreams are crafted and shattered in the blink of an eye, a scandal was brewing that would change everything. Ryan Bradford, the notorious billionaire playboy known for his indulgent parties and flashy lifestyle, was about to face a reckoning that nobody saw coming. Whispers flitted through the opulent ballrooms, the kind of whispers that twisted stomachs and made hearts race. Rumors swirled about an old secret, buried deep, one that could unravel the very fabric of his lavish life. As the sun dipped below the horizon, shadows lengthened, creeping in like an unwelcome guest. A simple maid named Clara, working tirelessly in the underbelly of Ryan's penthouse, stumbled upon that secret. It was nothing glamorous, just a worn journal, its pages gently crinkled with age. But inside, it held a truth that could topple empires. Ryan's family's painful past, a hidden connection that tied him to Clara in ways he would never expect. The moment Clara opened it, a wave of dread washed over her. What had she unearthed? An icy shiver ran down her spine. Days turned into sleepless nights as Clara wrestled with the weight of the discovery. In the dead of night, when the city was draped in silence, she would clutch that journal, her palms slick with sweat. What should she do? Her heart pounded wildly. Was she a keeper of secrets, or the deliverer of devastating truths? In a world where secrets had the power to implode lives, she felt the electric tension pinning her against the wall. An unexpected encounter brought everything to a head. Ryan, in a rare moment of vulnerability, entered the servants' quarters. His eyes, usually polished with confidence, now gleamed with fatigue and desperation. "Clara, have you seen anything unusual?" he asked, a tremor in his voice. The weight of his question hung like a dark cloud. Was she to expose him? Or protect him? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With the journal cradled in her hands, Clara stared into Ryan's troubled eyes, feeling the gravity of the moment. They were just separated by their roles, two lives on vastly different paths. But weren't they more alike than they would ever admit? How long could she keep this secret burning in her chest, choking her with uncertainty? Silence threatened to swallow them whole. As the evening deepened, the city's neon lights flickered outside the windows, painting the room with sinister hues. The air grew thick with unspoken words. Clara took a shaky breath, ready to step into a reality that would change both their lives forever. But as she finally opened her mouth, the door swung open. A shadowy figure loomed, casting a foreboding presence that made both their hearts race. "Clara, we need to talk." But what secrets lingered in the air? What storms were brewing on the horizon? Answers loomed like a dark fog, and with a racing heart, Clara braced for the truth that was about to unfold. The figure at the door stepped forward, shrouded in the dim light of the lamp. It was Margaret, Ryan's older sister, a woman known for her sharp tongue and sharper instincts. Clara's heart raced, caught in the crossfire of two unsettled souls. Margaret's eyes scanned the room, landing on the journal nestled dangerously in Clara's hand, tension transforming her posture into something aggressive. "What are you doing here?" Margaret's voice was like ice, each word slicing through the quiet. Ryan hardly moved, a mix of relief and dread washing over his features as he stood frozen beside Clara. Clara felt the weight of the journal creeping into her palms. The truth it held was about to combust under the pressure of accusations and secrets. She took a cautious step back, almost retreating behind Ryan. "It's not what you think," Ryan finally said, his voice strained. He reached for Clara, but she hesitated, the uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Margaret stepped closer, eyes narrowing in suspicion. "You can't wait around for things to get messy, Ryan. I know you. You're a magnet for trouble. For a moment, the air turned electric, and Clara could feel the shared burden they all held. Each person in the room was trapped in their own web of deception. Clara's not trouble, Ryan defended, his intensity rising. She knows nothing about what? About the darkness hiding under this family name? Margaret interrupted, a bitter edge to her voice. It was as if she had been waiting for this moment to unleash her own fears. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Clara caught her breath, panic coursing through her. The night was unraveling quickly, and she was standing at the center of it, the journal weighing more heavily than ever. What do you mean? She asked, voicing what they were all thinking. What darkness? A flash of realization swept through Ryan's features, but before he could respond, Margaret's face twisted with rage. You don't understand, do you? Family. Legacy. They'll do anything to keep it intact. This isn't just about you, Ryan. It's about power. And if you're not careful, her voice dropped to a whisper, you could lose everything. Clara felt a chill. The stakes were rising with every heartbeat, and she sensed they were teetering on a precipice. What had she unleashed? Margaret, calm down, Ryan pleaded, but Margaret was already spiraling. Calm down. You both need a reality check. If they find out, the intensity of her voice seemed to fill the room, every word a brick in a wall meant to keep them apart. But Clara could only think of one thing, what lay on the pages of that journal. Yet just as she considered showing it to Ryan, a loud crash echoed from the upper floor. The sound was followed by hurried footsteps. Clara's breath caught in her throat. They were not alone. Stay here, Ryan commanded, glancing back toward the stairwell, fear etched into his features. Clara felt her heart pound against her chest. They were being hunted. The journal felt like a ticking time bomb in her hands. She had to make a choice, reveal everything and risk losing Ryan's trust, or keep silent and protect them both from the storm advancing in the shadows. As footsteps approached, the door to the servants' quarters swung open, revealing another figure, a stranger with an unfamiliar urgency in his eyes. You all need to leave. Now. The moment stretched, filled with unspoken fears and heart-stopping uncertainty. Who were they running from? What awaited them outside? Clara felt as if the world was shrinking, the walls pulsing with anxiety. Could she truly save them all? Clara, we need the truth, Ryan said, glancing between her and the newcomer, desperation in his voice. The door slammed shut behind them, and with it, their world began to unravel. Clara's pulse quickened, the weight of the journal anchoring her to the spot. Every instinct in her shouted to run, yet she stood paralyzed. The stranger's eyes burned with urgency. We don't have time for questions. They're coming. Who's coming? Ryan echoed the fear in Clara's heart. He stepped closer to Clara, his presence a tether to the chaotic storm swirling around them. The stranger cast a glance over his shoulder, the shadows creeping in almost with malevolence. Your family's enemies. Stakeholders. They don't take betrayal lightly. Margaret's face paled, the bravado flickering like a dying candle. I told you, Ryan. They'll do whatever it takes to protect their interests. This isn't just about us anymore. The weight of her words pressed down on Clara. Betrayal. Interests. Secrets unraveling like a poorly knit sweater. She gripped the journal tighter, its leather spine hot against her palm. Everything she needed to say teetered on the edge of her lips, but the gravity of the moment silenced her. Who are you? Ryan demanded, glaring at the stranger. What do you know? Enough. The stranger's voice sliced through the panic, raw and commanding. I'm your last shot. You need to trust me now. We can't stay here. Clara exchanged a worried look with Ryan. Everything inside her screamed to flee, yet she felt drawn to the truth the journal held, a piece of herself that felt desperately important. What about the journal? she whispered, daring to break the spell of fear binding them. Margaret inhaled sharply. It's not safe, Clara. Ryan's expression shifted, a mix of determination and desperation. If it holds any truth about our family, then we're all finished, Margaret interjected, her voice trembling. It's not just a journal. It's evidence, Clara. Evidence that could ruin everything. The stranger's expression pivoted to alarm. We don't have time. Take it with you, but don't let them know what it contains. Wait. Clara exclaimed, her heart racing. What do you mean evidence? Evidence of what? Just trust me, the stranger urged, you need to decide. Now. That urgency sparked something fierce inside Clara. The world spun faster as she weighed the options. Could she walk away from the truth? The journal wasn't just paper bound in leather, it was a Pandora's box they all feared to open. Grab your things, Ryan said, the gravity of his voice cutting through the fog of uncertainty. He looked at Clara, desperate, pleading. We need to go. Together. The footsteps from above echoed louder, a relentless reminder of the danger looming just beyond their door. Clara's thoughts raced. She couldn't turn her back now. They had to uncover the truth, no matter the risk. Okay, she said, resolve hardening her wavering spirit. If we're doing this, we need a plan. We can't just charge out there. Then we need to secure a way out. It's time to face our demons and find the truth, Margaret chimed in, the fire returning to her voice. But as they scrambled for their things, a muffled cry erupted from above. Clara's heart plummeted. What was that? The stranger's eyes widened. It's time to move. Before they could react, the door slammed open again, and a shadow loomed in the opening. A face familiar yet menacing. Searching for something. The air stilled, thick with tension. The journal rested in Clara's grip, a deadly secret. What would happen when it all came crashing down? As the figure advanced, Clara felt the edges of her reality fray. The night was far from over. What horrors awaited them in the depths of this family legacy? The figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a cold smile that made Clara's skin crawl. She had seen that smile too many times before, a twisted version of familiarity. It was Marcus, the family's trusted advisor, or, as Clara now realized, one of the puppeteers in this dark play. His eyes glinted like shards of glass in the murky light, and Clara felt her breath hitch. What are you doing here? Ryan's voice was steady but edged with outrage, a shield for the uncertainty rattling within him. Marcus chuckled softly, a sound devoid of warmth. You really thought you could uncover the family's secrets and just walk away? You'll need a little more than that. He gestured lazily behind him, and several figures emerged from the shadows, their faces undefined, but the threat was palpable. Instinct kicked in. Clara glanced at Ryan, who was already positioning himself protectively in front of her. We need to get out of here, he said, his face taut with resolve. Behind them, Margaret grabbed Clara's arm, her grip like iron. What about the journal? Clara whispered, her mind racing. She didn't want to leave the only evidence they had. But the urgency in the air was suffocating, an alarm bell ringing madly in her heart. Now, the stranger shouted, pushing Clara toward the back door. This way. Without thinking, they scrambled together, ducking past the looming threat of Marcus and his henchmen. Clara's heart hammered in her chest as they burst into the hallway, the shadowy confines reverberating with the thudding of their feet. Where are we going? Margaret gasped, panic lacing her voice, which danced through the air behind them. Just keep moving. The stranger urged, leading them down a narrow corridor that twisted and turned like a maze. Clara's mind whirled. She still grasped the journal tightly, its weight a constant reminder of the tangled web they were caught in. A mix of dread and adrenaline fueled her steps, but she never considered ditching it. It was her lifeline, her only thread back to the truth. Suddenly, a heavy thud sounded behind them. The gang was gaining ground. They're right behind us. Ryan shouted, urgency dripping from every syllable. "Turn here." The stranger commanded sharply, yanking them around a corner. The scent of metal and dust filled the air, mingling with the echo of their frantic breaths. They were in the bowels of the old estate now, cellar dark, with whispers of shadows darting just beyond their reach. The ground beneath Clara felt unstable, a constant reminder that everything, the betrayals, the secrets, was crumbling. "Which way?" Clara asked, her voice shaking slightly. "Down," the stranger urged, pointing to a set of stairs leading further into darkness. "It'll get us to the service tunnel beneath the estate." As they rushed down the stairs, every creak beneath their feet felt like a warning. They reached the bottom just as the ominous footsteps grew clearer, echoing behind them. The hooded shadows stalked closely, and Clara's gut twisted with pure terror. "Is there another way out?" Ryan gasped. "Just through this door," the stranger replied, his expression darkening. "But we'll have to move quickly." Behind them, Marcus's voice rang out, dripping with malice. "You can't escape what you've unleashed." Clara shivered, realizing they were more than just trying to escape. They were running from the chaos that was their family legacy. She took one last breath, steeling herself against the unfamiliar weight of the truth. As they flung open the heavy door, an unexpected noise rang out in the silence, a gunshot followed by a deafening thud. "Go! Now!" the stranger shouted, pushing them through the doorway before they could comprehend the chaos. Adrenaline surged as they stumbled into the dark, knowing torches and shadows awaited. The walls whispered secrets as they ran, yet Clara felt a powerful surge of determination. Maybe the journal could help them fight back, but what lay ahead in the depths of their lineage? And would the truth prove to be their salvation or destruction? Clara felt mixed anticipation and dread coursing through her veins as the darkness closed in around them. They stumbled into the damp silence, barely able to see through the dark that surrounded them. The only sound was the hurried echo of their breaths and the pounding of Clara's heart, each beat reverberating through her body like an alarm chasing them. Had they truly escaped Marcus, or was this just the beginning of something darker? The stranger led the way, breathing heavily but remaining oddly composed. Ryan clenched his jaw, glancing back, fear flashing in his eyes. "What if they follow us?" His voice was low, an edge slicing through the lingering panic. "Trust me. They won't expect this route," the stranger replied, his voice guiding them deeper into the shadows. No one dared to question him. There was a desperation in the air that begged for action rather than uncertainty. Clara's grip tightened around the journal. It felt heavier now, its knowledge a burden and a beacon all at once. Each step deeper into the bowels of the estate felt like stepping further away from safety and closer to some buried truth she wasn't ready to confront. "Why are you helping us?" Clara finally asked, her voice breaking through the thick tension. She could hardly see the stranger's face, but she sensed hesitation from him. "Because," he exhaled slowly, "the family secrets belong to all of you. You have a right to know. You've no idea what's at stake here." His words hung in the air, heavy with implications. Clara exchanged a quick glance with Ryan, who had clearly picked up on the enormity of the situation. What stakes had they walked into, and what did Marcus really mean about this being a nightmare unleashed? They rounded a corner, the dim light glinting off damp stone walls. Ahead, wooden beams framed an opening that looked like it might lead outside, but it was enveloped by shadows. A flicker of hope flickered within Clara. "Over there!" she shouted, her heart racing. But just as she took a step forward, the sound of footsteps behind them pounded into the tunnel like marching soldiers. Clara's stomach dropped. They were coming faster now. "They're right behind us!" she yelled. "Run!" the stranger ordered, pushing them toward the opening. Clara propelled herself forward, drawing on every ounce of strength. Ryan was beside her, his presence a comforting weight against the chaos. Margaret stumbled slightly behind, her breath coming in sharp gasps, echoing the panic rising in Clara's throat. Just when they reached the entrance, a loud crash echoed behind them, a blinding light filling the tunnel as they burst outside. They didn't stop to look back. The cool night air hit Clara like a slap, invigorating her. But their freedom was fleeting. She searched the dark landscape, painted by the scattered moonlight. They were in the estate's garden, vines creeping over neglected statues and the ghostly outline of hedges. Where do we go now? Ryan panted, raking his hands through his hair. Anywhere but here, Clara said, her mind racing. We need to find a way to uncover more about the journal. It's not just a record of secrets, it's a weapon. Suddenly, the stranger whirled around, his face serious. We can't stay too long. They'll be out soon. His expression shifted ever so slightly, as if a shadow of his own emotions cracked through the composed facade. But, there's something I need to show you. Clara felt a shiver race down her spine. What could he possibly reveal that would change everything again? As they stood amid the thick shadows casting eerie shapes in the moonlight, she sensed they were on the brink of yet another truth, one that could shatter their worlds anew. Wait, what do you mean? Ryan asked, stepping closer, his eyes narrowing in suspicion. Follow me, the stranger said, glancing toward the darkness at their back, urgency carving lines into his face. It's time you knew what your family has done and what they're capable of. Clara's heart raced. The world was spinning, secrets piled on secrets, and their past was a labyrinth with no clear path. What horrors would they uncover next? Could the truth really set them free, or would it drag them deeper into the family's ominous legacy? Clara felt her heart race as the stranger's words hung in the air, thickening the tension. The garden, once an escape from the estate's horrors, now felt like a trap, each shadow a reminder of their vulnerability. What do you mean by what the family has done? She pressed, fighting to steady her voice. The stranger turned, urgency etched into his features. There are things you must understand about the journal. He knelt, shifting through the thick grass and debris, reaching for something out of sight. Clara's breath caught. What had they unearthed that night? The moonlight caught what he pulled from underneath the metal, glinting almost as though it had absorbed the light around it. Clara's breath escaped her as she recognized it. That's the family crest. Yes, he said, holding it up like a torch. But this is more than just a crest. It symbolizes blood, not just any blood, but blood that has been spilled to keep secrets. The weight of his statement crashed down on Clara, nearly buckling her knees. What secrets? Ryan's question echoed the uneasiness swirling in her mind. Every member of your family has played a part in preserving a dark legacy, the stranger continued, his voice low. They've covered up betrayals and sacrifices. Harsh decisions made to protect their power. To protect you. Power. Clara repeated, the word ringing hollow as she thought about their escape from Marcus and his henchmen. What kind of power demands blood? Before the stranger could respond, the sound of footsteps shattered the silence, crashing through the garden's stillness. Clara's spine tingled with alarm. We need to move. She gasped, glancing over her shoulder into the thick shadows beyond the garden. Panic surged through her veins, quickening her pulse. They're close, the stranger warned, his eyes darting nervously. Why should we trust you? Ryan didn't back down. His anger was palpable, a wall of defiance against the urgent dread that threatened to consume them. Because I know what they do. I've lived under the weight of these secrets, just like you. I can help, but only if you let me. The stranger's voice cracked slightly, revealing a glimpse of humanity beneath his urgency. Torn between training her instincts on him and the need to unravel the truth, Clara felt the journal shift in her grip. Help us then, she said at last, driven by instinct more than logic. If we are going to face what comes next, we need to start by understanding our family's past. The stranger nodded, determination igniting his gaze. Follow me, he urged once more, sprinting towards the darker edge of the garden. Clara and Ryan exchanged a look of shared fear and resolve before breaking into a run, the cool night air whipping around them. They pushed through vines and underbrush, the trees looming like ancient sentinels. Their destination became a blur until they burst into a clearing bathed in moonlight. Clara squinted, her heart leaping. There, at the center, stood an old stone altar, covered in moss and its surface marked with the same family crest. This, she breathed, stepping forward, this is where it all began. This is where they made the sacrifices, the stranger said, closing in behind them. Where the line was drawn between power and betrayal. Chilled to the core, Clara approached the altar, her fingers trembling as they traced the intricate designs. Desperation swelled in her chest. What dark history lay within the depths of this place? Suddenly, the air shifted. A rustle. Heavy, ominous footsteps closed in from the edges of the clearing. Clara's heart thudded in panic. Get back! She screamed, instinct taking over, pushing Ryan and the stranger behind her. In that moment, the darkness of the forest erupted as figures emerged, emerging from shadows like vengeful specters. Cold realization washed over her. Marcus had sent his men after them. Would they face the shadows of their family and overcome the legacy of violence, or would they become just another chapter of betrayal? As the figures approached, Clara squared her shoulders. Let us find out, she breathed, ready to fight. A chilling laugh resonated from the lead figure, echoing through the clearing as they advanced. The night was far from over, and the true entanglement of lies was only just beginning to unravel. The figures closed in, their faces obscured by the shadows that clung to them like a shroud. Clara's heart raced, a wild animal trapped in a cage of bone and flesh. There were too many. Panic clenched her throat, and the icy grip of fear threatened to paralyze her. Stay behind me! She shouted again, though uncertainty gnawed at her. As the lead figure stepped into the moonlight, a familiar smirk froze Clara in place. Marcus! Did you really think you could escape? His voice, smooth like poison, curled around her spine, making her flinch. We've been waiting for you, Clara. He chuckled, a deep, mocking sound, sending chills racing down her arms. So sweet of you to come to us. Ryan stepped forward, fists clenched, ready to confront the threat. Get lost, Marcus. We're not afraid of you. Oh, but you should be, the man taunted, his eyes flashing with cruel glee. You've stepped into a world far darker than you can imagine. Your family's legacy is stained in blood, and I'm the one holding the knife. Before Clara could respond, the bushes rustled again, and a group of armed men flanked Marcus. He gestured toward the altar, a twisted grin spreading across his lips. Isn't it poetic? This is where it all began. This is where the pact was sealed. What pact? Clara's voice emerged steady, masking the tremor in her chest. Why are you doing this? Marcus laughed, a low, derisive sound that cut through her. Because you need to understand, Clara. This was never just about the family. It was about power. Control. And you are merely a pawn in the game. Without warning, he lunged toward the altar, gripping the family crest tightly. Clara's pulse quickened. No! She shouted, instinctively reaching for him. But before she could reach him, his voice boomed. You think you can change it? Rewrite history? In the blink of an eye, the ground seemed to shift beneath her, dark energy arcing between Marcus and the altar. Clara's heart dropped as she realized he meant to harness the power of their family's bloodline. Stop! She screamed, horror flooding her. The stranger behind Clara stepped forward, a look of fierce determination etched across his face. If this goes through, it'll seal your fate, not just yours, but everyone else's. Marcus waved him away. You think I care about you? Or this worthless garden? Your warnings are as empty as your will to confront your family's reality. The lineage demands a sacrifice. Clara's throat closed tight. What kind of sacrifice? She breathed, fear swirling as clarity struck her. What does it demand? Blood, Marcus answered, his smile gleaming in the moonlight. But not just any blood. Yours. A startled silence fell over the clearing, punctuated only by the low rustling of trees. Clara's breath caught in her throat. Rage mixed with desperation ignited in her veins. They had come too far to let this darkness win. "Ryan!" she called out, her voice striking like thunder. "We have to fight. Together." Ryan nodded, his expression igniting with resolve. The stranger positioned himself beside them, his stance ready. "We'll break this cycle whatever it takes." With a fierce surge of adrenaline, Clara stepped forward, facing Marcus. "You think I'll allow you to continue this sick legacy? You don't own me." Marcus recoiled slightly, surprise flickering across his face. But it was brief. "Then let us see what you're really made of." He raised the crest just as the night exploded with chaos. Figures advanced, dark and menacing, bearing weapons. As the confrontation spiraled into turmoil, Clara felt something shift within her, a well of strength she didn't know she possessed. Then, a blinding light erupted from the crest, engulfing everything, and Clara reached for Ryan, her fingers brushing his in a promise of solidarity. As the world around them twisted, the air crackling with an impending doom, Clara's heart pounded with a fierce, hopeful defiance. What was buried could still be unearthed. But would they survive long enough to confront the truth? The sudden light flickered, and for a split second, Clara felt hope wane. Would this night swallow them whole, or would they reclaim their legacy? With darkness looming and danger circling, she held on to that fragile thread of determination as the chaos encroached. The night was only just beginning to reveal its secrets. The blinding light pulsed like a heartbeat, catching shadows off guard and distorting the scene into a nightmarish kaleidoscope. For a heartbeat, time slowed, every breath inside Clara's lungs felt heavy, as if reality paused to let the gravity of their situation sink in. Then, the world snapped back into focus. Ryan's eyes widened, catching the flash of bewilderment crossing Clara's face, and without thinking, he lunged toward her. "We have to stay together," he shouted above the fray, his voice barely piercing through the chaos. Marcus seemed unbothered by the chaos, reveling in it. "Do you really think your friendship can save you?" He laughed, the sound devilish and filled with malice. He tightened his grip on the crest, its light intensifying into a searing glow. Clara's pulse echoed in her ears. "What is happening?" she gasped, feeling the ground pulse underneath her feet like a living entity. "Marcus is trying to awaken the pact," the stranger yelled, revealing a deeper urgency. "If he succeeds, there's no going back for any of us." Every instinct in her screamed to run, to pull back into the safety of shadows, but she couldn't. Not now. Not when the price of failure was so clear and present. "Remember our plan," Ryan urged, his determination like a tether anchoring her in place, even as the wind howled around them, pulling at their clothes. "We've come too far to back down." The armed men surged forward, swords glinting menacingly, but Clara felt a surge of strength coursing through her. It was as if the light from the crest was feeding her spirit. "We have to counter it. Disrupt his hold," she shouted, coaxing their fear into a rallying cry. Ryan nodded, and they rushed forward as a unit, their feet pounding in sync with their hearts. Clara met Marcus's gaze straight on. "You think fear is power?" she spat, channeling that inner fire. "You're wrong." The air crackled between them, a tension that felt tangible. For a moment, the only sound was the labored breathing of everyone gathered, the stillness pregnant with impending action. Then Clara called upon everything she had. Memories of love, of strength, of her family's legacy came flooding back. The feeling thrust her into motion. She felt the crest of her heritage rise in her as she took a wild leap toward Marcus. "Stop!" she screamed, launching herself at him with an energy fueled by rage and desperation. The unknown stranger darted beside her, managing to knock a weapon from one of Marcus's henchmen. The blade clattered to the ground, and Clara grasped for it, fingers curling around the cool metal. It wasn't much, but it felt right, like holding on to the very essence of her defiance. But just as she clawed back a semblance of control, the ground trembled violently, casting everyone into a clamor of stunned reactions. The light from the crest pulsed stronger, illuminating the forest in blinding white, and then silence. The chaos stilled as shadows danced, figures freezing mid-attack and blinking in disbelief. The air thickened as Clara pushed through the silence. "This ends now," she shouted, voicing a truth that hung in the air. Marcus's expression turned to one of manic glee, then quickly shifted to fear as he realized they were no longer on the defensive. "You don't know what you're doing," he warned, his bravado faltering, revealing cracks in his iron grip. The moths began to swirl madly around the light emanating from the crest, drawn in by its power. Clara felt something primal stir within her. This wasn't just a battle, it was a reckoning. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows behind Clara, cloaked in darkness. It stepped forward, a face familiar, and utterly unexpected. "Clara," the voice whispered, echoing heartbreak and betrayal. "Who are you?" Clara gasped, her heart racing as the perception of reality shifted once more. "Someone who has the answers you seek," the figure stated, piercing the tension with a revelation veiled in mystery. And just like that, with chaos looming and revelation just within reach, Clara felt the ground shift beneath her again. The night had only begun to fracture, and the truth was coming. Would it heal her or break her? The figure stepped closer, the dim light brushing over familiar features. Clara's heart raced, recognition dawning too slowly, too painfully. "No. It can't be you," she whispered, fear mingling with disbelief. The stranger stood tall, eyes piercing through the chaos, but their warmth was gone, replaced with an icy resolve. "Yes, Clara. It's me. It's been a long time." Each word was a dagger, yet a part of her yearned for the connection. Memories flooded her, laughter shared under stars, secrets whispered in the dark. "Why are you here?" she demanded, the blade in her hand trembling with unresolved emotions. "To warn you," the stranger replied firmly. "You have to let go of the past. The pact is more dangerous than you realize." "Let go? You think I have a choice?" Clara shouted, the weight of the moment crashing down. Marcus laughed, a cruel sound that shook her resolve. "Whoever it is doesn't understand," he spat, eyes gleaming with madness. "The power of the pact doesn't just bind, it consumes." Ryan took a step closer, protective. "What pact? What are you talking about?" He looked from Clara to the stranger, confusion etched on his face. "The pact of shadows and light," the figure said sharply. "A balance kept in check by those who understand its depths. If it awakens fully, it could obliterate everything." Clara felt the ground tremble again, vibrant energy surged around her, beckoning chaos. "And what makes you think we can stop it?" she yelled, frustration clawing at her chest. "Because you are stronger than you think, Clara," the stranger asserted, intensity glowing in their gaze. "You belong to this." They gestured to the crest that still pulsed, its light shifting like a living entity caught in the tumult of emotions. The armed men began to stir, weapons raised once more. The rising tension was like a storm's eye, waiting for the flash to break. Marcus's laughter echoed, wicked and powerful. "You think power comes from connection? You're all foolish," he said, voice dripping with contempt. Clara clutched the blade tighter, a primal instinct igniting. "No. You don't own this. You can't control us," she shouted, her voice a call to arms. Just then, shadows lunged from Marcus's side, cold and menacing. Clara's heart raced as they slithered towards her, an army of darkness seeking to engulf them all. "Ryan!" she cried, slicing through the nearest shadow, watching it dissipate into nothingness. Ryan nodded, adrenaline fueling his movements. "Stay together. We can fight this. Don't let them isolate you." The stranger yelled, joining the fray, slashing at the shadows, revealing an ominous strength Clara hadn't thought possible. The clash intensified, light battling dark as Clara began to feel that surge of her heritage. Powers swelled within her, mixing with the fear and rage, igniting something fierce. But just as she felt her resolve strengthen, a shadow lunged for Ryan. Time slowed once more, Clara's world narrowing to the sight of him in peril. No! She screamed, her heart dropping. In that instant, everything shifted. The crest blazed brighter, consuming the shadows, but at a price. The world around them twisted and warped, bending time and space itself. Clara felt herself losing grip not just on reality, but on Ryan. With a surge of determination, Clara lunged forward, desperation fueling her every move. Ryan! She reached for him, but the swirling shadows were too strong, threatening to pull them apart completely. The stranger stepped beside her, grasping Clara's unease. You must trust yourself. You cannot lose him. They shouted above the din. Clara's breath hitched as the chaos raged on. But in that moment of danger, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Would she fully embrace her lineage, or would fear pull them apart? With a final, thunderous clash, the crest exploded with light. The shadows began to recede, but the ground rumbled ominously beneath them, a warning that this fight was just beginning. The figure turned toward Clara with urgency. The truth will set you free, but you must be prepared for what's to come. As shifting shadows threatened to reclaim the light, Clara's mind raced. What truth awaited them? Would she be strong enough to stand in its wake? The ground shook violently again, and she braced herself, heart pounding, as the reality of this battle hung thick in the air. The future was uncertain, and her greatest challenges loomed ahead, both from within and beyond. What would she uncover when the dust finally settled? Would this fight save them all or destroy everything they held dear? The deafening clash of chaos stilled as the light from the crest washed over the clearing like a tidal wave, pushing the shadows back into the darkened corners of the world. Clara stood frozen, heart pounding in her chest, a mix of fear and resolve coiling within her like a tightly wound spring. Clara! Ryan's voice shattered the stillness, pulling her back from the edge of despair. She flicked her gaze toward him, his expression fierce and unwavering, a lifeline amidst the storm encircling them. We have to hold on. His words ignited a spark within her, a reminder of what truly mattered in that fractured moment. She couldn't afford to surrender to the impending darkness. The stranger beside her moved with purpose, striking down remaining shadows with an unexpected power. Stay focused. Remember, your strength lies in your connection to each other. It was a language Clara understood. In the grip of uncertainty, she felt the bond strengthen between them. Ryan, the stranger, even Margaret, who had been lurking at the edge of their chaotic battle, her expression transformed by determination. No longer merely the sister of a billionaire, but a bold player ready to face her family's grim legacy. With a sharp nod, Clara turned her attention to Ryan, heart spilling with affection and fierceness. Together! She shouted, and he nodded, resolve blazing in his eyes. As the shadows lunged, Clara and Ryan moved as one, a synchronized dance of light and dark. They fought side by side, the rhythm matching the heartbeat of the world around them. Every swing of Clara's blade felt like an awakening. She was not a mere servant, she was a Bradford. She was part of the legacy, and she would reclaim it. Push them back. The stranger commanded, urgency still tangled in their voice. Marcus's haunting laughter echoed against the trees, threatening to drown out their efforts. He won't give up easily, Margaret shouted as she launched herself into the fray, striking with a fierce determination Clara had not anticipated. But neither will we. The battle raged on, energy pulsing through the clearing, a chaotic ballet of light and shadow, power and betrayal. Just when Clara felt that they were gaining ground, a towering force emerged. Marcus. With fire in his eyes, he advanced, the light of the crest shadowed by the dark energy coiling around him. You're nothing without the past, he sneered, his voice laced with venom. You've unleashed forces you can't control. But Clara felt a surge of confidence rise inside her. No, she declared defiantly. We are the ones controlling our destiny. She lunged forward, using her newfound strength. The blade in her hand felt lighter, imbued with purpose. The shadows retaliated fiercely, but Clara met them with unwavering determination, every cut a reminder of what they fought for. Behind her, Ryan and the stranger were locked in a battle with Marcus's dark henchmen, their movements synchronized as they pushed through the chaos. This ends tonight. Clara shouted as she finally found her footing, a spark of courage igniting her spirit. It was a shared conviction, a truth born from the ashes of their pain. The crest flared brightly, its light enveloping Clara in warmth. She reached out, not with the fear of what could break her, but with the hope of everything they could build together. The word was a prayer, a promise, and a battle cry all at once. In that moment, the crest pulsed with an electrifying energy, the ground beneath them thrumming to life. The shadows reeled back as if struck, their dark tendrils retreating from the brilliance of the light. Marcus faltered, surprise painting his twisted features. Clara felt the connection between them all solidify, a fabled strength forged in battle and blood. They were united, each hand reaching out to the other, their souls intertwining like a web against the encroaching darkness. Fight for your families. Clara cried, rallying her last reserves of strength. The armed figures hesitated, caught in a moment of indecision, and with one final rallying cry, Clara and her companions surged forward. The crest exploded in brightness, a beacon of hope cascading through the shadows, illuminating their faces against the oncoming darkness. This is our legacy. Clara shouted, adrenaline spurring her on, and in that instant, the world shifted. The shadows, once ruthless and voracious, flickered and dwindled as if the very essence of their darkness was being torn apart by the radiant light. Marcus's manic laughter dissolved into silence, a gaping chasm of realization widening beneath him, the tide of darkness receded, scattering like smoke in the wind. Clara stood tall, steely resolve gripping her heart as clarity spread through her like wildfire. They had been on the brink of destruction, but together, they forged their own path through the chaos, a truth they'd rewrite collectively. Clara, Ryan murmured as they regained their breath, amazement dawning in his expression. I can't believe we did it, she gasped, relief washing over her, but deep within, the weight of their journey lingered. The shadow of the past would never truly vanish, but together, they could face whatever came next. The stranger turned, looking into their eyes. There's much to uncover and much to mend, they spoke softly, genuine concern twisting their features. But we'll do it together, Clara promised, glancing at Ryan, then Margaret. Together, they began the step toward healing, the shadows behind them shrinking further and further until they were free, solidified in hopes forged in light. The legacy they created would emerge anew, a tapestry woven from the threads of struggle, loss, and above all unbreakable bonds of family. As dawn began to break over the horizon, Clara felt a warmth in her chest. They were alive. They had weathered the storm. Let us get out of here, Ryan said quietly, and as they turned toward the first light of a new day, Clara realized they were, at last, free to discover not only what lay ahead but the new beginning waiting just beyond the shadows. But as they stepped away from the altar, an echo of Marcus's last warning whispered through the trees, a reminder they need to face the truth and the journey ahead together. Now, it's time for you to join the adventure. You need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you never miss exclusive stories like this. Smash the like button now to support the channel and help us grow. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is what keeps these stories alive.